Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Jason Mackey's First 10, a quick hit podcast to get you ready for today. Today is Friday, May 17th in Pittsburgh. I am not in Pittsburgh, actually. I am in Chicago. Was at Wrigley Field yesterday. Going to catch the first two games of this series. It worked out pretty well, huh? Jared Jones, first game. Paul Skenes today in the second one. Actually talked to a few fans about that. I'll get into that story shortly, but a nice little couplet for anybody looking to make the trip. Going to head over there shortly. I'll be curious to see if there are more fans there today than there were yesterday. Not a ton, but Wrigley always draws quite well. They were over 30,000. By the way, if you have never been to Wrigley Field, I tell people this all the time, you have to go. It is absolutely one of the coolest things. Our Andrew Destin was making his first trip to Wrigley. We have two people on this trip, and it was really, really neat to see Andrew walk in there for the first time and see it and take in the sights. It's just, it really is breathtaking. You take a walk around. It's so old, but well kept. It is a logistical nightmare for reporters. Not that anybody cares about that, nor should you, but it's so great around the park and an absolute must go for baseball fans. So going to talk about some stuff from last night's game, have a few quick hit things I want to get to with other sports. But first, want to remind you that we are brought to you, as always, by the North Shore Tavern. If you love baseball, you'll love it there. If you don't love baseball, you'll love it there. Their interior is wall-to-wall pirates. Their appetizers, entrees, cocktails, and, of course, steak and seafood on a sizzling lava stone. Open every day. The North Shore Tavern across from PNC Park is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. So yesterday's game I thought was interesting in a couple different ways. I'm going to start with the lead of my column, and let's swing early in the count, right? Because that was the theme. So many guys last night were attacking early on. We did not see that as much. I asked Brian Reynolds about this as guys were kind of filtering out, and he said Justin Steele, the fastball that he tends to throw early in counts, the Pirates were basically ready for that. Okay, I understand that. And I think in that way, as opposed to some of what we've seen this season, that is coming up with a plan, recognizing what's going to happen, anticipating and executing things accordingly. Great. No issue there. I don't think anybody who looks at the Pirates offense is going to say that, tailoring something to a pitcher or what, that's just sports, right? Like the problem is having that blanket approach across all hitters, across all pitchers, no matter what, this is what we're going to do. And again, I have argued that it hasn't been the best thing that we've seen from them. Well, last night I thought was an interesting pivot. You see Edward Olivares, first pitch swinging, going after it. I've never understood why everyone wants to work counts. I think there are times and places for that. If a pitcher is throwing a fastball first pitch over, jump on that. Don't take that pitch. Don't allow him to gain that advantage. If he's having trouble with his control and it behooves you to work deeper in a count, go do that. But last night I was really impressed with what I saw. Olivares did it. Nick Gonzales did it. There's a couple situational at bats. Gonzalez moved the run over. Yasmani Grandal got him in. Brian Reynolds doubled. There was a Michael A. Taylor double. Going off memory here, but there were 5, 6, maybe even 7 key moments, key hits, key balls put in play that were early in counts. Don't wait around. So I want to see them do that, not just against Justin Steele. I want to see them do that against everybody. I think that's a little bit of a lesson learned. On the pitching side, I was really impressed with Jared Jones. This is 2 starts in a row for him now where he is not at his best stuff. It was the slider last time out, and it was the fastball last night. I mean, I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't already know, but his ability to get outs, regardless of what he has, I mean, that to me is the definition of pitching. Sometimes I tell people this story about being a beat writer. Some of the stories that I'm most proud of doing are not like some big expansive thing that you've taken a long time to work on. It's when you feel like you have absolutely nothing. Like you're tired, you're not creative, you're worn down or whatever. And I read something, I'm like, man, okay, that doesn't suck. It's okay. You just know what goes into it. And so I kind of liken that to Jared Jones, where last night his fastball command was not what it should be. You know what? He still gave the Pirates a quality start. Still gave them a chance to win. That's not an easy lineup over there. I believe that's 6 of 9 starts this season. He's given them a quality start. Just so good, man. And such an idea on what he's doing out there in comfortability with pitching. I thought the 7, 8, 9 succession worked too. Aroldis Chapman was very good. The cracked nail is clearly not an issue. Colin Holderman was a bit calmed down just enough, and David Bednar was solid in the 9th. So The Pirates got a key win in this series. I was talking to somebody Thursday about just how important this series is going to go, how they need to at least split. I think you'd probably like to see them take 3 or 4 and just some fires that are creeping up and try to tamp those down. I talk on here a lot about Rowdy Tellez, Jack Suwinski. I don't have any magic answers for anybody. The Rowdy Tellez thing is strange. I mean, a lot of people scream to DFA him. If you DFA him, he's probably going to he can decline an outright to Indianapolis because of his service time. So you're probably just going to lose him and you're going to pay money for nothing. Versus, do I keep him on the roster and try to get this righted? I don't know what the answer is. I'm just saying it's not, you don't just cut him and you're like, gone with the money or whatever. The only thing you get is the roster spot. Another guy that is probably of more concern, especially after last night and how he looked at the plate, is Jack Suwinski. Derek Shelton gave a familiar answer when asked about Sawinski's struggles that he's just caught in between, which I would not argue. 0 for 4 strikeouts. To me, Sawinski needs an unplug somehow, some way. I think very highly of Jack. I think there's an excellent player in there, but right now it's just not happening. I mean, if we would show up at Wrigley Field in a little bit and his locker would be cleared out, I would not be shocked. Bit of a tight turnaround to get somebody here at the same time. Man, at least sit him down for the day. Those strikeouts last night looked pretty rough. So we'll see what happens there. Again, Pirates need to keep this going. They have Paul Skenes on the mound today. Very important start for Paul. Some conversation about Paul, at least for me, and asking Derek Shelton kind of about the fuss surrounding him. I'm amazed by this. And I talked to a couple guys in the clubhouse yesterday about all that's been put on the shoulders of a 21-year-old. He's going to handle it fine. I have no doubt. It's not that. But I asked Shelton what sort of enables you to feel good about Skenes shouldering this load, or what do you I forget how I phrased it, but it was basically like, what gives you confidence that Paul's going to be able to handle all that's tossed his way? And he brought up how he was raised, his military background. And I would wholeheartedly concur with that, but I think there's a lot on his plate. I think I chatted with Paul for a little bit yesterday too. I think he's really enjoyed the routine of getting to prepare for a start. There's not as much fuss. He was talking about how it's an MLB debut, but it doesn't really feel like a normal start. I think this feels a little bit more like a normal start. He also knows that his fastball command needs to be better, similar to Jones. I think it was a little bit jumpy just because of his nerves. So not really worried about that. Curious to see what Paul does against Chicago, pitching in a day game in Wrigley Field the way it should be. So we'll talk to you from over there. For 2 last points, though, I just wanted to make with a Steelers point and with the Penguins thing. 2 really good pieces on our website right now. Brian Batko wrote about Najee Harris and talked to a guy that I believe Brian knows well and Najee has worked out with in the past, talking about his increased diet, slimming down, all this stuff. You read a lot of those stories this time of year from professional athletes, right? Like everybody's lost weight, they've added weight, the best shape of their lives, cliche, right? But I think I can take the discussion a little further with Najee Harris and almost say, good. I'm glad I almost read some of that stuff like Najee feeling like he has an axe to grind with the Steelers or something to prove or whatever. And I don't know if he has anything to prove, but if he wants to grind an axe, I mean, that's great. That's fantastic. If I'm the Steelers reading that, I think that's absolutely the right move. And yeah, he is playing for his next contract. He's playing to set up the rest of his career. And it's a tough market for running backs. I don't begrudge the Steelers one bit for making the decision they did, declining his 5th-year option. I would make the same decision 100 times over. And I also understand why Najee Harris would feel a little bit hacked off that there wasn't some sort of commitment there. And if that manifests itself in Najee Harris really doubling down and taking care of his body and how he performs, that's great. That's a win for everybody. And I'm eager to get to know Najee Harris a little bit more going over to Steelers. I've always looked at him with kind of a fascination. I think he's really smart, really articulate, kind of calculated in what he says. But, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot of motivation. There's a lot of stuff burning, and I want to see how that manifests itself on the field as well. Wanted to promote another piece too. Matt Vensel wrote on Marcus Pettersson, a Penguins defenseman. Basically, should they extend him? Should they trade him? I'm going to weigh in with my 2 cents and say, please don't trade Marcus Pettersson. Please. The left side of their blue line, in my opinion, should be something that they address this offseason in a situation that is far better than Ryan Graves. I don't know if Ryan Graves is any good. I hope he's good, but what we've seen thus far has not been good. I know this much. I covered the Penguins when Jim Rutherford acquired Marcus Pettersson what an amazing growth for him as a player. To me, he deserves an extension. He's become a steady part of that blue line, maybe their most consistent defenseman with some of the ups and downs that we've seen from Chris Letang and Erik Karlsson. But if I could have my wish there, it's absolutely to extend Marcus Pettersson. I think you need to add, change, improve whatever the left side of the defense. I mean, you're pretty set up with all you can do, Letang, Karlsson. I'm on record here saying I don't, I don't necessarily love the Karlsson addition. If you could get out from under that contract and make a move, I would absolutely be for it. But as far as the left side, you need more Marcus Petterssons, not fewer Marcus Pettersson. So I understand why if you're trying to do other things, it might make sense to trade him, but absolutely not. I would not. All right, that does it for me. I got to head over to Wrigley Field in a little bit. Should be an exciting game. Paul Skenes start. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get this content, more of anything we do over there. And I'll be back in this place talking to you again Monday. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.